Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. It is time for the Survivor Series rant from November 24th, 2013, and the pay-per-view took place in Boston, Massachusetts. If you can't tell, it sucked, pretty much. And right off the bat, I have to apologize because even though I think it was in the prediction video I said that I had nothing to do today and I was going to be able to see everything for the pay-per-view, including the kickoff. Even though I said that, I completely forgot, lost track of time. I missed the kickoff and the first match on the pay-per-view. But I was still able to find notes on what happened, of course, because I'm a resourceful guy. During the kickoff, some irrelevant bullshit happened. I don't know what the fuck. We had Kofi versus The Miz. Now, at the start of the match, Miz sticks his hand out for a handshake. And Kofi is obviously hesitant, being that Miz just recently turned heel, basically. Kofi's hesitant, but he still shakes it. Yada yada, they have the match. Miz ends up winning, just as I predicted. And I think he cheated to win, or he used some lame-ass roll-up or some shit, I don't remember. But Miz wins. And after the match, he sticks his hand out to Kofi for another handshake. And Kofi is insulted. He slaps The Miz in the face and leaves. Whatever. We go into the pay-per-view, and the first match is the big Survivor Series, 5-on-5 elimination tag match between the Usos, Cody Rhodes and Goldust, and Rey Mysterio versus the Real Americans and The Shield. And again, as I said, I missed this match, and I came in at the very end after the match was already over. Roman Reigns is your sole survivor. He was able to get the win for his team. So, yeah. But after that, they cut backstage to the office where Triple H, Stephanie, and Kane are there. And Randy comes in and starts bitching again. Whatever. Back in the arena, Axel comes out and Big E comes out. It's time for the Intercontinental title rematch. And it turned out to be a decent match. Big E hits the big ending, and he gets the win. He retains the title. Yay! He gets to keep the belt, and Axel goes away finally. After the match, Renee Young gets in the ring with Big E and basically interviews him, and Big E's talking. He basically uses Mick Foley's cheap pop to, he says Boston over and over again, basically, and gets pops from the crowd. Whatever. We cut backstage where AJ is standing with Tamina, and she's talking to somebody, and you don't really see who it is until the camera finally pans over, and we see that AJ's giving a fairly poor pep talk to the other divas on her team. And the other divas start bitching at AJ about how this is, Caitlin's even bitching and all this other shit. And whatever the fuck. Anyways, we cut back out to the arena, and this god-awful crappy music starts playing, and on the Titantron it says Total Divas, and the same thing on the Minitron. And the Total Divas chicks come out. They don't even get their own ring entrances. They don't even get separate entrances. They don't even get their own music. They come out to the shitty theme song to the stupid fucking show. What the fuck ever. AJ's music hits, and she comes out with Tamina and the other divas on her team. And obviously, this is the time for the, 7-on-7 Divas Elimination Tag Team match. The Total Divas versus Team AJ, as I'm going to call them. Because none of the other girls on that team mattered besides AJ and maybe Caitlyn. Whoop-de-doo. The match, as you might guess, was shit. It was way too quick. There was hardly any real, competitive action. It was basically elimination after elimination after elimination. It sucked. Alicia Fox, not surprisingly, is the first one eliminated. She gets hit with a split-leg moonsault by Naomi. And despite the fact that I've never seen Naomi do this move before and it's not established as her finisher, Fox is eliminated by it. Cameron then gets eliminated by Rosa Mendez. I think what happened was Rosa was in the corner, and Cameron charged her, and Rosa got out of the way and either tripped Cameron or gave her a drop toe hold or something, but Cameron's face hits the bottom turnbuckle, and apparently that just knocked her the fuck out. Rosa covered her and pinned her. And so Cameron is eliminated with a weak trip into the bottom turnbuckle. Immediately after that, Rosa gets eliminated by Nikki Bella. I don't remember how. Doesn't matter. It sucked no matter what. And then, let's say, Nikki was still in the ring, and Summer comes in. Since Rosa was just eliminated, Summer comes in for her team. And Summer and Nikki go back and forth doing dance moves. I don't know why. But Summer goes down and does the splits because, she always does that during Johnny's entrance. She goes down and does the splits. Nikki hits the ropes and drop kicks Summer in the side of the face while she's still down doing the splits. So, again, heel tactics from a face. And apparently, this one little drop kick was enough to just kill Summer. Nikki pins her and eliminates her. After that, Eva Marie got tagged in, and Caitlyn came in for her team. Caitlyn gets Eva up and hits the big lifting drop into the gut buster, and Eva gets eliminated because she's green as shit, of course. Naomi comes back in for her team and gets eliminated by Caitlyn's gut buster as well. And then Brie comes in for her team, and I think she hit an awful missile drop kick from the top rope that barely managed to connect with Caitlyn, and yet she still managed to pin Caitlyn after this awful drop kick. Right. But after Caitlyn was eliminated, Oksana came in for her team, and her and Brie tussled a little bit. Brie got lifted up and spine bustered by Oksana, which actually is Oksana's finishing move. And Oksana pins Nikki, and she's eliminated. Or no. She pins Brie, and Brie's eliminated. And then Nikki comes back into the ring, and she hits an ugly backbreaker or something. But either way, I think it was maybe a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker or something. Who cares? She hits some variation of a backbreaker on Oksana and eliminates her with it. And then after that, I believe Tamina came in for her team and started beating the piss out of Nikki. And they actually managed to fight back and forth for a little bit. And then Nikki got backed into her corner. Tamina was down. Nikki was desperate, essentially. And she tags in JoJo. JoJo, who I don't think has ever wrestled a match, and has, even by the commentator's own admission, has little to no experience. JoJo comes in and gets the shit beat out of her by Tamina, obviously. Tamina hits a Samoan drop on her, and then AJ tags in. And AJ skips around a full circle around JoJo's corpse, and then covers her and eliminates her. So AJ eliminates JoJo after Tamina's Samoan drop. And then Natalya came in for her team, and AJ didn't want any part of her, so she tagged immediately back out to Tamina. Tamina and Natalya go back and forth, and Natalya manages to get Tamina in the sharpshooter, and Tamina has to tap out. And so I believe that left AJ as the only person left on her team. As soon as Tamina tapped out, AJ ran in and just clobbered Natalya and started wailing on her. But it doesn't matter because Natalya gets out of it, counters, gets AJ into the sharpshooter, and AJ has to tap out too. And so Natalya and Nikki Bella are the only two left on the team. And so they win. Like I said, the match was shit. It was way too quick. And it was a lot of terrible wrestling, if you can even call it wrestling. It was a lot of terrible flailing around from a bunch of bitches who don't know a thing about wrestling. Aside from AJ and Natalya. And maybe Caitlyn. The rest of them don't belong in a wrestling ring. They suck. And it was terrible. Anyways, we cut backstage to some back hallway. There's Randy walking through. And up comes referee Charles Robinson. And him and Randy get to talk. And Randy's talking like, you know, we've always been friends and I've always liked you. And we've always had each other's backs and whatever. And he finally gets to the point of saying, do you get what I'm getting at here? Basically insinuating that he wants Robinson to help Randy cheat or something. But Robinson looks at him and says, I'm going to do just what the authority tells me to. And then he walks away and that's it. So Randy ain't getting any help from anybody, supposedly. Next up, we cut back to the commentators who announced the next pay-per-view in December, which is going to be TLC, and it's going to be December 15th. After that, they finally decide to cut up to the panel, which, as I said, is hosted by Josh Matthews, and it's Mick Foley and Booker T and Bret Hart. And they start talking about something when all of a sudden Ryback's music hits. And out he comes out onto the stage. And he's talking, he's basically shitting on the Hall of Famer, the panel members, and saying that I can intimidate anybody and whatever the fuck. He does another open challenge like he did on SmackDown. And since he was successful on SmackDown, Khali came out and Ryback was able to beat him. He makes another open challenge. Anybody who wants some can come and get you some. And all of a sudden, Mark Henry's music hits. And out he comes sporting his new look, which is bald. He shaved off his ugly dreads that he had. Or his ugly cornrows, I don't know what the fuck they were. He shaved them off, and now he's just down to his big bushy beard. He comes out, and they have a match, and the match is shit, obviously, because you've got two fucking hosses who ain't worth a fucking damn. The only real notable highlights, Henry goes for the World's Strongest Slam, and Ryback gets out of it. He goes for the meat hook clothesline, and what happened was, Henry was in the corner, and as Ryback charged him for the meat hook, Henry jumps up and cross-bodies Ryback and just flattens him with it. And after that, he picks Ryback up, gets him up, and World's Strongest slams him and gets the win. So Henry wins in a shit match that was slow, it was boring, and it was terrible. We cut over to the panel again, and they talk about what just happened, and mostly about what's about to happen, which is the World Heavyweight title match. And speaking of, we get a recap from Hell in a Cell, the World Heavyweight title match, and all the other build-up that happened between then and now between Cena and Del Rio, including... well, whatever, who cares? We cut backstage to, I guess, the doctor's office where... actually, no, I think it was actually the locker room. Cena was there with the doctor backstage, and Cena doesn't have his arm brace on anymore. And the doctor's like, you sure you don't want it? And he's like, yeah, I don't want it, you know. If I don't have it, it'll be like out of sight, out of mind, and all that bullshit. Whatever. We cut back to the stage, and out comes Del Rio. It's time for the title match. Cena comes out following, of course, and gets booed for the most part. And then we do the, oh yeah, and I should note at this point, during his entrance, there's a crowd of Cena sucks signs, and even one that says anti-C-Nation, and they later cut over to the corner of the crowd, and there was a sign that said, Cena is marginal at best. It literally said that. There was a sign that said, Cena is marginal at best. Just thought that was fucking funny. But yeah, so we do the big match introductions, and then we have the match. And it wasn't so great. Cena tries his comeback combo twice, and it gets countered both times by Del Rio. Cena does his Tornado DDT again. And he goes up top to do the big leg drop, but gets caught by Del Rio, who jumps up and enziguris him in the face. And then Cena gets brought down into the Tree of Woe, and of course, like what always happens when Del Rio goes for this, he goes to charge him in the corner, and Cena pulls himself up, and Del Rio's shoulder hits the the corner post. And after that, Cena gets turned around on the top rope, and he comes jumping off, and he hits the big leg drop. They wrestle around for a bit. Del Rio goes for the arm breaker, but Cena rolls through it, and then goes right into the STF. And Del Rio, they were right next to the ropes, so Del Rio is just barely able to crawl to the ropes and get a single finger on the rope to get the rope break. After that, Del Rio threw Cena into the ropes and mule kicked him in the stomach, which got Cena down on his knees. Del Rio comes out of the corner with the concussion kick, but only gets a 2 count. Yada, yada, yada. Cena goes up top again and goes for his flying crossbody that he just started doing. But Del Rio basically catches him and rolls through. He rolls through and goes right into the arm breaker. And he's got it locked in for a minute. Cena can't get out. But of course Cena's not going to tap out. He picks him up, injured arm and all, and does the big powerbomb counter. And after that, he went for the attitude adjustment, but Del Rio got out of it. Went for the arm breaker again, but Cena got out of the way, gets him up, attitude adjustment, hits it, and gets the win. So, of course, Cena fucking retains. He celebrates for a minute, whatever. We cut backstage to Santino Marella's dopey fucking face. And then there's R-Truth, and they're talking back and forth. And it's like they're trash talking each other, and then they jump over, and there's them stupid body slam toys or some bullshit or whatever the fuck. No idea. It's more pointless shilling of their own merchandise. And then the Matadors come up because somebody said that ain't no bull. And then they go, enough of this crap, let's dance. And then Fandango comes up, of course, and he said, who said dance? And they're like, yeah, whatever. They say something about power, and then all of a sudden there's John Laurinaitis. Finally, the goddamn stupid segment ends. And they cut to a stupid hype video for the Wyatts. And that segues into a recap of everything between the Wyatts and Punk and Bryan leading up to this. Punk's music hits and he comes out, followed by Daniel Bryan. He comes out. And then they cut up to the stage, or the Titantron, where we have a promo from Wyatt. He cuts a promo talking about Sister Abigail and this other dumb shit. And then their music hits and the blackout, and they come out. Whatever. We finally get this match. Early on in the match, Punk and Bryan managed to hit the heart attack on Rowan, I think. Whatever, Bryan hits the suicide dive on Harper. And he's really beating on Harper. He gets him up top. And he goes for his Super Frankensteiner. But Harper holds on to the ropes and holds on to Bryan. And he holds him. And he comes jumping off with a big avalanche sit-out power bomb. And at this point, it looks like Harper and Rowan basically have it wrapped up. Rowan gets tagged back in, and he does his little running froggy splash on Bryan, but he doesn't get the win yet. Punk had been thrown out of the ring over the top rope, like lifted up for like a flapjack basically, and then just threw him out feet first. So Punk was wiped out. Rowan hits the froggy splash on Bryan, but Bryan kicks out. And then Rowan just body slams Bryan like 3 times in a row. And Punk got up on the apron but gets clocked. And then Harper hits a half Nelson suplex on Bryan. And then Punk gets back up on the apron again in the corner, and Harper goes to hit him but gets kicked in the head. And so Harper's wiped out. Bryan's wiped out for the moment, and Punk's on the apron waiting for a tag. Punk comes in, and he starts clearing out, Harper. He's beating the hell out of him. He does his knee in the corner, and he does the short arm clothesline. He goes up to the top rope, and oh yeah, he also clocked Rowan off the apron. Punk goes up to the top rope, and it's looking like he's going to go for the macho elbow. But then all of a sudden, out on the outside, there's Rowan standing there with Wyatt. Punk decides to dive down and crossbody the two of them. So he wipes them out. He gets back in the ring and he neckbreakers Harper. And he hits the big elbow on Harper, of course. And then Rowan comes in to clock Punk, but he misses. And Bryan comes running and hits the super knee on Rowan and knocks him out. Harper gets up and Punk gets him up on his shoulders and hits the GTS. And he pins him for the win. And so Punk and Bryan win. The match was still fairly good. Definitely the best match of the night. But considering all they had to contend with was a shitty Divas elimination tag match, a semi-short match between Axel and Big E, Ryback and Henry, which sucked, and Del Rio and Cena, which wasn't so great. Yeah, that was your best match of the night there. But anyways, after the match, Wyatt is pissed off on the outside. He takes off his stupid little straw hat and his little Hawaiian shirt, and he's looking like he's staring down with Punk and Bryan, and they're like, "Come on, motherfucker, bring it on." He gets up on the apron. It's looking like he's going to get in the ring and fight, but no, of course not. He backs down and chickens out. and him and Harper and Rowan leave. We cut backstage to the office once again. Triple H and Stephanie and Kane are there, and they're talking to Cena, and the Doctor is there too. Can't really hear what they're saying, but up comes Randy. Cena decides to leave with the Doctor, and Randy's like, what the hell was that all about? Triple H and Stephanie don't really respond to him. That's basically the end of the segment. We get a recap of all the shit between Randy and the Big Show. And then the Big Show comes out, and Randy comes out, and we get the big match introductions, and it's time for the WWE title match. Which was decent, but not really all that great. In the early bit, Randy stalls. As soon as the bell rings, he basically bailed out to the outside and basically ran for 30, 40 seconds essentially. After coming back in and getting whacked a couple of times by Show, Randy tries to bail out of the ring again, but as he rolls out, his leg gets caught on the ropes, and he kind of fumbles around to get out of the ring. Finally, Randy gets back in, and he's able to counter Big Show somehow. I think Big Show went to hit the ropes, and Randy drop-kicked him. And then he's got Big Show down. He just starts stomping the shit out of him. He gets real aggressive and whatever the fuck. There was a boring chant and a "We want Brian" chant. On the outside of the ring, Randy gets thrown into one set of stairs, and then he gets thrown into another set of stairs. They go back into the ring, and Show goes up to the top rope. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you doing? Of course he gets caught. Randy starts kicking him, grabs him down. He's slung over the top rope, and he plants him with the hung DDT from the top rope. Randy mocking the crowd. He goes down for the RKO. He goes for the RKO. Big Show shoves him off. Randy bounces off the ropes and comes back, and Show catches him by the throat, lifts him up, choke slams him, but he only gets a 2 count. Back on the outside of the ring, I think Randy had rolled out of the ring after the 2 count. He rolled out of the ring, and Big Show followed him. They were kind of fighting on the outside for a bit. Show grabs Randy by the throat again, and Choke lifts him up and throws him towards the ring, and Randy bounces off of the ropes where the referee was, and he basically nails the ref and knocks him down. And so the ref is down for a minute. While the ref is down, Show gets thrown into the set of stairs, and then Randy gets a chair out from under the ring, and he goes to hit Show, but Big Show stops him, knocks the chair out of his hand, beats the hell out of him. He throws Randy into the crowd, and they go out into the crowd for a bit. The referee's still down, of course. Show brings him back, throws him over the barricade, and as Big Show's climbing over the barricade, Randy grabs him to hit the barricade DDT, but Show pushes him off, and Randy kind of backs up a little bit, and he charges forward and gets clocked with the KO punch. Randy hits the deck. He's floored. Big Show's looking at him like, oh yeah, I got this motherfucker. He climbs over the barricade and he grabs Randy, throws him back into the ring where we can see that the referee's finally getting up. Big Show starts to get into the ring, and King of Kings hits. Triple H and Stephanie and Kane come out onto the stage. And this is enough of a distraction. As Show goes to finish getting into the ring, he gets caught by an RKO. Randy drops him on his head with an RKO. But he doesn't cover him yet. Randy rolls over and gets up. He's in the corner. Big Show's in the other corner. And again, the Authority are coming closer and closer to the ring. Not really doing anything, though. Randy comes charging and punt kicks Show in the head. And then he covers him, and he gets the win. And so, even though there wasn't supposed to be any interference whatsoever, there was, basically. The crowd was booing. They were not happy, obviously. Randy's got the belt, though. He's celebrating. He's holding it up. He don't give a fuck. Triple H and Stephanie and Kane, I believe, got into the ring with Randy, and they're kind of celebrating with him. Or no, they didn't. They were still on the outside of the ring, but Randy was still in the ring holding up the belt. And then all of a sudden, Cena's music hits. And the Authority are like, what the fuck? And they look back, and here comes Cena with the World Heavyweight title. And Cena goes right in between them, jumps in the ring, and he's basically having a stare down with Randy. He's holding up the world title, getting the fans to kind of cheer for him. And so the two of these guys are just staring at each other. Now, I had heard, I don't know if it was a report or if it was just a rumor, but I had heard that at some point they wanted to build to a champion versus champion match. World Heavyweight Champion versus WWE Champion. And what I had also heard is that this would be a unification match. I think what we just saw is the first teasings of that. They're going to build to a feud between Cena and Orton. A feud that we have already seen time and time again. And, if I'm not too badly mistaken, they swore they would never feud again, especially over the title, because they had done it so many times and it had become so fucking boring, and the people didn't want to fucking see it again. But anyways, they're staring each other down, and that's pretty much the end of the fucking pay-per-view. So, let's go over the matches again while we compare to the predictions that I made. Well, the kickoff match, Kofi versus Miz. Miz won, and I did predict that. We had the 5-on-5 elimination tag match. Usos, the Rhodes, and Mysterio versus the Real Americans and the Shield. Roman was the sole survivor for the Shield, and so his team won. And so that was probably the only one that I was wrong about. Because I predicted that Rhodes and the Usos and Mysterio would win. So that one I was wrong. But then we had Axel versus Big E, the IC title match. And Big E won, which I did predict. And then we had the god-awful Divas 7-on-7 elimination match. And again, Natalya and Nikki were the only survivors on their team, which means the Total Divas team won, which means I was right about that prediction. And then after that, we had probably the only good match of the... No, wait, never mind. First up, we got Ryback versus Henry, which was not on the actual card, but I had predicted that they would use Ryback at some point. So, guess you could count that as a point. And we got that match. Whoop-de-doo, it didn't matter. But then we got the world title match, Del Rio and Cena won, and I predicted that, so that one I was right. And then the only backstage segment I'm going to comment on is the stupid toy thing, and they used Fandango, which again I did predict, so even though he wasn't in a match, I'm still going to count it. And then we had the only good match of the night, Punk and Bryan versus the Wyatts. And Punk and Bryan won, which I did predict, so I was right about that. Again, of course. And then after that, the main event, the WWE title match, Show versus Orton. And Orton won, which again I did predict, so I was right about that one again. So, once again, let me go over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 matches I predicted right, only one wrong. And I also predicted correctly that they would use Fandango and Ryback. So, anyways, that was your Survivor Series. Really wasn't that great. Big Show gets screwed out of the WWE title because of a distraction from the Authority. Tomorrow on Raw, I'm almost willing to bet Big Show is going to raise hell. And if he doesn't knock Triple H's fucking head off with a KO punch, I'll be disappointed. But that was your Survivor Series pay-per-view from November 24th, 2013, Boston, Massachusetts. They kicked us in the nuts for Thanksgiving. What are they going to give us next month for Christmas? They're going to give us the pay-per-view. We're going to open the box and it's going to be a pile of turds. Or a pile of coal. Whatever you want to call it. I'm sick to death of this shit. I really am. Bryan should not have been taken out of the WWE title picture. I'm glad that Punk's feud with Paul Heyman and Ryback finally came to an end. But now, him and Bryan are stuck feuding with the worthless Wyatts, which is just a lousy feud. And we get a lousy feud between Big Show and Randy. And now it's pretty much, that's just going to be brushed aside. No, we're going to focus on having Randy versus Cena in a title unification match. And I don't know if that bullshit's just going to end at the next pay-per-view, or if they're going to build to it all the way till WrestleMania. And I really don't fucking care. We're going to be treated, again, air quotes around treated, to another boring, lousy match between Cena and Randy. In a feud that we've seen too many times already, in a match that we've seen way too many damn times already. And odds are Cena's going to win, unify the titles, and he will be the actual face of the WWE, just like he fucking has been for the last decade. It is so predictable where this shit is going. It's so fucking predictable. And Punk and Bryan are being wasted in a mid-card feud that has no bearing on anything. This sucks. End of story. Once again, that was your Survivor Series rant for... Well, Survivor Series. Again, November 24th, 2013 from Boston, Massachusetts. Fuck the WWE. Good night.